Lesson 7. Secrets. Let's get going. If you had a magic pencil that could make everything that you draw become real, what would you draw? Read to understand. What will you do if you get a magic pencil and rubber? How will you use them? Do you want to find out what Rehan does with them? It was a terrible day at school for Rehan. He got every single sum wrong that morning. He dropped a bottle of ink on the floor and splashed on his teacher's white canvas shoe. When he made a face behind his teacher's back, it was noticed. So he had to be punished. Here, take this letter to your father and go home, said his teacher. After writing a long and angry letter, let him punish you as well. Rehan picked up his books and walked out of the schoolyard and up the narrow city lane. But once he reached the big banyan tree, he sat down in its shade and soaked a letter with anger. He had not been able to get his sums right, although he had tried. He had dropped the bottle of ink by accident. Perhaps it was wrong to make a face. But how could he help it when things were going so badly? Now he was afraid to go home and hand the letter to his father. So he hid in the folds of a tree trunk and poked with a stick at the seeds that had dropped on the ground. He was so angry and afraid that he poked and yoked with the stick till he had dug quite a deep hole in the dust. Suddenly, he found a little grey lump of rubber in it. He picked it up and rolled it between his fingers. I wish it were a magic rubber, he said. I would rub out the whole school, like this, like this. Then he stepped out to look down the lane at the boys' school that stood at the end of it and angrily rubbered at the air with the rubber. The moment he did that, something very strange happened. The school vanished. He had really rubbed it out. There was no white school building, no dusty playground, no high grey wall, and not a single school boy. There was just a square of bare brown earth between the other buildings. Rehan's knees were shaking. He ran a little way down the road to see better. But there was nothing there. He was so afraid that he ran up the lane, picked up his books and the terrible rubber, and ran home. His mother was alone at home. She was kneading a dough in a big brass pan. "You're early," she said in surprise. "I haven't any food ready for you yet, but you can go and break up an old box and get me some wood to light the fire." Rehan was in a bad mood, so he made a face at her and went out to pull an old woolen crate to pieces. He came in and threw it all into the crate with such force that the ashes flew up and settled on the pots and pans, and the dough and the neat floor as well. At this, his mother grew angry and shouted, "What a mess you have made! Now go and fetch the broom and sweep it up at once." "I won't sweep," Rehan shouted back loudly. This made his mother more angry. "I won't sweep it up either. Let it lay there. And then your father will see it when he comes home," she said. At the mention of his father, Rehan felt afraid. He held up the magic rubber, shut his eyes tight, and cried, "I won't let him see that mess. Rub you all out." And he swept his hands through the air with that grey lump of rubber as fast as he could. When he opened his eyes, He didn't find the house or his mother. Everything had vanished. He had really rubbed out everything with his magic rubber. Now, Rehan did not have a home or a mother. He was very frightened. He turned and ran as fast as he could. He didn't want his father to see him. He ran to the banyan tree, hid between two folds of the huge trunk, and stood trembling. "I'll hide this terrible rubber," he said at last. "I'll put it back in the hole and never take it out again." With shaking fingers, he scraped more dust from the little hole he had dug earlier. In order to bury the rubber, as he scraped and dug with trembling fingers, he found something else in the hole, a new pencil. He wondered whether it also had magic powers. He decided to find out. First, he dropped the rubber into the hole and covered it up. Then he held up the pencil and pointed it at the bare earth where the school had once stood. Very carefully, he drew the picture of a school building, the verandas, the playground, and the children. As he drew these things, he saw them reappear before his own eyes. The school was once alive, with noisy children. Rehan was excited now. He ran towards his home to the empty rooftop and drew a picture of his home as well as he could. Then he drew a picture of his mother kneading the dough in pen, the fire, and even the broom in the corner of the room. When he went in, he found them all there, just as he had drawn them. He was really happy. He had got back his home, his mother. Just then, he heard his father come slowly up the stairs. Rehan ran out shouting, "Look! I found a pencil and a rubber on the road today." He wanted to tell him everything, but he did not dare. His father looked tired. "Why don't you sit quietly and draw something?" he said, as he went in for his tea. Rehan nodded and went to fetch a piece of paper and draw a picture of his dog. The picture he drew was so good that his father beamed with joy. His mother was so pleased that she pinned it on the wall next to the calendar. Rehan spent the entire evening drawing with the magic pencil. He took the drawings to school the next day. When his teachers saw them, he was so pleased that he forgot to ask about the letter. After that, he gave Rehan paper and time to draw every day. Rehan drew so much that the magic pencil was soon worn to a stub. Instead of throwing it away, he took it down to the banyan tree and buried it in the earth. He wondered whether he would be able to draw as well with an ordinary pencil. But he had so much practice now that he could draw as good a picture with the new pencils as with the magic one. No one knew how he had learned to draw and paint so well without any lessons or help. Rehan did not tell anyone the story. That was his secret and the banyan trees, and they kept it to themselves, as secrets should be kept.